You're watching AndyTube. In this video I'm just going to do a little test stitching, checking out the different stitch types on this Singer Model 338. And before I get started with it, I just want to review the controls a little bit, so as I mention them you will know what I'm talking about, because I'll probably show you mostly the needle area while I'm doing the stitching. This is the upper thread tension dial. So when it's calibrated, you can set tension from 0 to 9. So when I say the thread tension is 4, this is where I'll be doing the adjustments. Over on the main control panel, you will see the stitch width goes from 0 for straight stitch over to 4 millimeters wide, and it's marked 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's it's like a sliding lever. You push down a little bit and start moving it, so you can go to a half or 2.5, 3 3/4, 1.5. It doesn't have to be 1, 2, 3, 4. It can be anything between 0 and 4. This is left, center, right needle. I'm just going to sew in the center. So unless I say otherwise, the machine is set so that the needle and needle bar is in the center position. If I decide to change that, I'll tell you I moved the needle left, I moved it right by moving this lever left to right. And this is the stitch length control lever here, the feed control lever. And in the manual they talk about this silver knob where you want to adjust it. You turn it left, and then you set your stitch, say at 12, and then you can tighten it up there. And the idea is it doesn't really keep it at 12. How it works is if you go up for reverse, it will reverse in 12. And if you come back down, it automatically stops at 12. So you are welcome to do it that way. Most people that I know don't use that, because wherever you set the stitch length, the mechanism just keeps it there. Unless it's not adjusted properly or something, it doesn't creep around. You don't start sewing at 8 and 10 minutes later you end up on 10. But I need to make you aware that that is a possibility. And the different needle plates and presser feet I'm going to use is the straight stitch plate. You see it has a very small hole right in the center for the needle. And I'll be using the straight stitch presser foot that matches up with that. And the purpose for that is you get less thread puckering with that small hole in the needle plate. And this presser foot has a smaller footprint, so when you need to sew fine detail or around curves, it's easier to do. And I like to do that. Sewers I know like to do that when they're sewing a straight stitch for any length of time, because it makes a more smooth, uniform straight stitch and gives them more control. Later I'll be doing zigzag, so I'll be putting the multi-purpose or zigzag plate, and you see it's got a hole large enough for the needle to swing back and forth. And that's one of the reasons if you use this for straight stitch, the needle can pull up a little bit of the fabric in there and you can get some puckering. So that's the purpose, and one of the presser feet that goes with that multi-purpose or zigzag needle plate is the multi-purpose foot. So you see it has a twin toe. It's a lot bigger footprint than the straight stitch. Has a lot bigger opening for the needle to zigzag back and forth or swing back and forth. So that's the combinations I'll be using for zigzag, and then the straight stitch needle plate and presser foot for straight stitching. And I will get that plate in there and pull up the bobbin thread and so forth. I'm using a I don't know, pinkish reddish top needle thread, and I'm using just basic black bobbin thread so we can see the difference in the top and bottom stitch. So I'll get it set up and we'll do a little testing. Alright, let's give this a try. For the first testing, I just have a shirt tail from a woven 50 cotton 50 polyester blend shirt. Just a shirt tail that was cut off. So I'll fold it over double, and I'll just start with a straight stitch down one side. My tension, I haven't rehabbed the machine, so I'm just going to set the tension on 4, stitch with 0, stitch length about 8. Okay, let me turn it here, and I'll go back down. Let me open the stitch up to about a 6. Now this is the longest, and the tension looks good on 4. So let me just do a number 6 length straight stitch. And I'll come around here and let's try a finer. I'll do half of this in 12, and I'll do half up above 20. Now, I didn't mention, and I should have, I'm just using a standard number 14 needle here. A sharp point number 14 15x1 needle. Wonder how well that's going to show up for you. I'm trying to look in the camera now. I know on camera it's hard to see the difference between the number 8 to 10 to 6. This is 20. This is over 20. And my tension, this is the bobbin thread on the bobbin. My tension came out real nice. It's an even stitch until I got up into this about 24-25 stitches per inch. You see that I've got a little bit of black bobbin thread pulling up to the top. And really, for a stitch that fine, I should be using like a number 9 needle. So I'm real happy with how this came out. Especially the machine hasn't really been cleaned or adjusted or anything. But that's some of the different straight stitches. And let me go back and do a little reverse sewing, so you see that. I'll just come over by the edge here and I'll start in reverse back to the edge, and I'll come forward. This is about a number 12, and then I'll just reverse it here. So, of course, some of the older vintage machines didn't have reverse, but most of these ones from the 40s, 50s, and 60s do have reverse, so you can see some reverse stitching there, some in the middle, and my tension is still nice on it. So let me do a little curved, a little bit freestyle stitching with this straight stitch setup so that you can get an idea of what I was talking about, the control. I'll switch it over. And I think I'll do about a number 10 straight. I'm still at the same 4 needle thread tension because it's working fine. I'm going to lighten up my foot pressure up at the top, that control knob. Well, there's my weird figure 8, but I wanted to show you the nice, back out a little bit here maybe. I wanted to show you the nice control that you can have. That was a number 12 stitch. There's the bobbin thread. There's the needle thread. You can sew curved, along curved edges, more of like a freestyle sewing. So that worked very well. Let's see what else I can do in straight stitch. Here's some denim from hemming a pair of jeans. So this is 3 layers of denim here where it's rolled over and made the seam. So let's try sewing through that like if you were going to hem a pair of jeans. I'll do a number 8 stitch, still straight. I'm going to start right on the edge of that seam and go right down the middle. Okay, well that's pretty easy. That wasn't any problem for it. I don't know how well you'll be able to see. It's kind of a pinkish reddish thread there. The bottom is black, so you're not going to be able to see it. But that was a very nice, even stitch, balanced, and the top stitch is very, very nice. So I'm going to, because you sew over felled seams with this too, right? So I'm going to fold that over double. So you've got the 3-layer hem on each side, and I'll see if he'll go through 6 layers of this denim. And I'm going to go to a number 6 stitch because this is a lot of material for it to get through. Better drop my presser foot, eh? Hey, sorry about that. My chip filled up. So let's take a look at this 6 layers of denim here and see how it turned out. You saw that it sewed right through it, and you see that pink thread. Really nice top stitch. You can't see the black under here, but it did catch the edge of the original hem. So we got 6 layers there, and that's pretty impressive, And I'll remind you, I'm using a regular sharp point number 14 needle. It is not a denim needle, which has a thicker, heavier duty shank for this. It's just a regular sewing needle like you'd buy at the sewing store or Walmart, that kind of thing. So real happy with the capability of this machine. Very happy. Next I'll do just a couple examples of craft sewing, maybe for people that like to do stuff other than clothes. This is the finger of a Wells Lamont leather glove. It's got a little lining, and it's kind of that soft, pliable leather work glove. So I'm saying that it's similar to garment leather. And I've got a nice sturdy nylon strap you would use for camping, backpacking, your go bag, things like that. So, and I'm still using the same number 14 standard needle, and I'm still going to straight stitch on this to just show the capability. See if I can get it under there. Yeah, and I'll sew down one side of it here, and I'll sew, I guess, about a number 8 stitch. Let's see, there's my bobbin thread back there. Okay, alright, let's see if we can do this. Oops, sorry about that. Get that shoved back up in there. Make sure, shoot, I had it all the way up there to the end and everything, all ready to go. Alright, let's try it again here. Get it in here. Alright, here we go. I'm going slow because it's not a very long stitch. Let me turn it across the base of it here. Maybe I'll sew the other side in reverse so I don't have to twist it around so much. See if that'll work. Okay, then I'll try just going at an angle, like sewing an X pattern. Whoops, still in reverse, sorry about that. Alright. So these vintage domestic machines were very versatile. You know, back in the day, the homemaker made a lot of clothing, reupholstered, made curtains. It's a nice stitch there. There's a couple of kind of bloopers in the bottom where I stopped moving. I kind of held the webbing while the feed dogs were still trying to pull. So I made 3 or 4 stitches in one place. I told you I'm not a sewer. I'm a restoration man, not a seamstress. So, but I wanted to show you the capabilities of something like that. And for my last little straight stitch test, I just have a composite leather belt here, and you can see I've tested other machines, you know, with it, but I wanted to see if this machine could do that. And this is not a leather needle that has the little knife point, you know, it's just the old standard needle. Get this under here, and I'm going to stay with the number 4 tension. It's been working good. Straight stitch. Number 6 is the length, and I want to see if this has penetrating power, or if I'm going to have to penetrate the needle into the leather with the hand wheel. So first I'm just going to try and go. Okay. Now we're getting to this end where I have 2 layers of this. And I want to see if I can transition up onto that and sew through 2 layers. How about that? It did it. I was worried I wouldn't be able to transition up onto that second layer, but that single foot is flexible enough. I guess it hesitated, but it made it up there. You know, you usually use a roller foot for something like this. I mean, I don't have a walking foot machine, but you'd usually use a roller foot and a leather needle. But for the heck of it, I wanted to try this, and I gotta say I'm pretty impressed. If you can, let's see if I can back this zoom out a little bit. If you see right above my thumbnail is that pink thread. Nice even top stitch. You see there right at the transition it kind of made a double stitch. I was afraid to push the belt and snap that needle, but it made it up there, and then it continued sewing along through the double layer. So what can you say about that? That's pretty impressive, huh? So there's the single needle sewing with the straight stitch needle plate and the straight stitch foot plate. And like most of my videos, it's way too long, so I'm going to stop here, and I'll do another video to show a zigzag stitching capability. And I have some other sewing media here. I have other denim and flannel and things like that. But we'll run through the zigzag stitches, and maybe I'll even try zigzag on that belt. Okay, well, I hope that was interesting to you, and I want to thank you for stopping by AndyTube, and I hope you'll come back and watch some more of my videos. Take care.